Hey, yo, Internet. Support for today's episode of the Combat Jack Show comes from Bevel. I know y'all are tired of hiding those nasty razor bumps and ingrowns when y'all use them Gillettes and them orange razors and Harry's or whatever the fuck boys they try to deliver to your doorstep, man. Stop doing that shit, man. This Bevel shaving system is the first and only shaving system designed for people with coarse, curly hair and sensitive skin. I just recently had a fucking epiphany. I stopped using Bevel. I don't know why. I'm hard-headed. I always got Tristan on the jack, but I didn't want to bother him. I ran out of blades. My trimmer was not working. I went to see the Dominicans around the way. It was a holiday season. They fucked my shit up. To this day, like to this day, I still have scabs and scars on my head. I feel like such a unworthy representative of Bevel, but now I've seen the light. And I share it with you. Do not do that shit to yourselves. Don't do that shit to your loved ones. Don't let your daughter see the back of your head on Father's Day. Talking about, why is daddy fucking melting? Don't do it. And listen, like I said, Father's Day is around the corner, man. Surprise your pops. And surprise your if you got a baby father, if you got a husband, your brother's got, you know what I'm saying? Just get them the Bevel for Father's Day. Get $30 off a 90-day supply of your Bevel shave system when you visit getbevel.com/Jack. Once again, tell them I sent you for Father's Day. $30 off a 90 supply of the Bevel shave system when you visit getbevel.com/Jack. It's time for dad to start shaving smarter, man. Take care of your dad, man. Don't fuck off with them fucking stupid socks and get him a Bevel. And now back to the show.
Get ready for combat. No escaping. Get ready for combat. Get ready for combat. The Combat Jack Radio Show. Stand up.
Hey, yo, Internet. You know what it is. You are tuned into the Combat Jack Show, the Combat Jack Show podcast. Hey, King, what's going on, sir?
I'm glad to be here, beloved.
Really, how was L.A., man? You were out in the West Coast.
Yes,
this
I
past
was
weekend,
out in
man.
the West Coast.
Yeah?
First time in L.A.
First time in L.A., man.
Yes.
How were our peoples, man?
It was awesome. Everything was cool. L.A. is very interesting, man. There's not a lot of different. The scene is very diverse. You know what I mean? I wish I could stay there a little bit longer.
Would you say it's more diverse than New York City?
Yeah.
I mean, in New York? Come on, bruh.
Listen, I was
in
the hood.
You smoke that weed. You smoke that good. You smoke that good weed.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I was in the hood one day, and then
Yeah.
I was like in Sunset the next.
Oh, I see what you're
It's
saying.
a whole different thing.
Right.
I guess you could compare it to like being in Brownsville before gentrification, and then being in Soho.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's beautiful, man.
Okay, well, welcome back, man.
Yeah.
Do we have any announcements to make, man? We're going to L.A. next month in June, right?
Yes, we're going to L.A.
We're doing a live show in L.A.?
Yes.
Okay.
More details, on the way.
What's the window of time that we'll be out there?
End of June.
End of June.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere in the 20s.
Okay, we haven't done a Combat Jack show live show in L.A.
No.
in a long time. They've been calling us though.
Absolutely.
We get a lot of love out there.
Yeah, and also,
L.A., what up?
And two other cities been harping on us on the Twitter, Chicago and
We got to go to
and
Chicago.
Boston.
Boston.
Boston been popping up hard.
Boston is hard though, man.
But they want us to come to Berkeley, Berkeley College.
Boston is hard though, man, because Boston is an interesting city when it comes down to like hip hop. No, listen, let me talk for a second. It's just a very interesting city.
Yeah.
And we the homie Static Selector, has been here. You know what I'm saying? We haven't had
Ray Benzino.
Well, we got to get Benzino. I mean, we fuck with a lot of Boston cats, but Boston is such a strange city, man. You know what I'm saying? And Boston, I'm not saying we don't fuck with y'all, because we do fuck with y'all, because y'all give us a lot of love. But, I mean, Boston is the first city that I've ever been called the word nigga. You know what I'm saying? I've encountered so much racism.
This is in your college days?
No, this is when I was 8 years old.
Oh, shit.
You know what I'm saying? And I've encountered over the years so much racism in Boston that I really don't understand the relationship between the hip hop culture and such a racist metropolitan city. You know what I mean? It's a weird place.
It is.
We'll figure that shit out. And it's kind of hard for me to like figure out like who we would love to have represented on that stage with the Combat Jack show.
You might have to go NBA with it, man.
What do you mean NBA?
Paul Pierce.
What you mean, man? Oh, you just go to NBA to get a basketball player?
Basketball player or
and then
football.
Boston, they into the 3 stripes too much, man. The Adidas shit. I don't even understand that. What up, Boston? Listen, man. Listen. Internets. I hope you guys have been tuning in to the project that we just released with Spotify and Gimlet Media, Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty. We are now on the 5th episode. It just dropped.
4th.
5th episode. It just dropped today. It gets dark. People are telling us that this is the next level in urban podcasting. I love the support. For people that are overseas, our Canadian fans, people that are in the UK, Australia, all you motherfuckers that have been complaining that it's not available outside of the U.S. on June 16th, Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty will be available on all platforms and in almost all territories. So Canada, UK, you guys are going to get it next month. It's the greatest body of work that I've ever done, and for the people that are listening to it and are championing it, thank you. Recently, man, I've been caught up in this. I hate. Like my time has been so crazy that I hate when I get caught up in these binges. You know what I'm saying? Like I tried to binge into like the whole Iron Fist thing because I'm a nerd like that, but I haven't really. I didn't finish Iron Fist. And then I've been looking at some old shit too, like Naruto and like just a whole bunch of stuff that I don't traditionally look at, man.
Right.
But recently I got caught up into this whole Dear White People thing, man. And at first, like I watched the first episode, and then I kind of backed off from it. And then I watched the first episode again, and then the second and the third. And next thing I was like, yo, it's 10 episodes, and I'm like on episode 8. Like all night, like I can't get out of this, like this chamber, man. So, I'm really excited, man, because it's a great. You haven't seen it yet.
No, I had some issues with my Netflix.
You just gotta pay your bill, B.
No, stop.
You just gotta pay your bill, bro.
My bills are paid.
If your bills are paid, see, okay, Dear White People. When a black person is saying they're having issues with their Netflix, it means they haven't paid, or their cousin and them who's been paying the bill has not paid their bill, or you haven't been comfortable enough to call customer service because something ain't right, my niggas. So stop fronting.
That's not me.
So what is it? Was it where you sweat?
I haven't. No. I'll get to it. We're getting ready to travel. I'll get to it while we on the road.
Okay, you about to pay that bill too?
No.
Yo, Atlanta, what up? I know this show comes out a week after we grace your lovely city.
Yeah.
But we're coming to Atlanta again. Let's stop fucking around. Listen, internets. We're talking about Dear White People. I'm very, very excited to welcome to the Combat Jack show the creator of Dear White People, Justin Simien, and the lovely, lovely, lovely Logan Browning. Welcome to the Combat Jack show, y'all.
What's going on?
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Do y'all know
So
anything
good.
about this?
About you?
About the show?
Yeah.
Oh, you fucked with us?
Yeah.
What?
Of course.
No, listen, man. You know what I love about your show is it's the first show that I've seen that reminds me, and it's been a long time since I was in college, but it reminds me of my experience at Cornell University.
Right on.
You know, going up to Ithaca University, going up to Ithaca, town of Ithaca, coming from urban Brooklyn at a time when Brooklyn was just being ravaged like by the crack epidemic and the whole nine, and going to this like this beautiful like idyllic environment, and definitely all these white students, but then because of the size of the student body, a pretty decent, a pretty robust student body of color.
Yeah.
And assuming that I'm gonna find my place, and then the 4 years there, I'm like, well, where do
you
fit in? Who am I in this milieu? Because I'm not this kid from Atlanta. I'm not this kid from Ohio, and it's like the different classes. Like I'm assuming everybody's from the hood.
Yeah.
So can we talk about what inspired you to write this, man?
I mean, it really started. I was in college, senior year, and I was kind of the same way because when I first joined, I remember my freshman year, I was sitting in like the space where the Black Student Union meets. And I was like hanging out with my whites, and I was just waiting for the meeting to start because I wanted to join. I wanted to see what they were talking about. And this woman comes in and she's like, "Hey, so we're about to do the Black Student Union meeting, and we're gonna need you guys to leave." And she was just so dismissive of me because I was sitting with white people. It took me like really kind of like my 4 years there to like fall into like a group of black people,
Right.
honestly, that like I got along with and liked. And I remember, because, I was pretty active in the BSU towards the end of my time at Chapman. And I remember we were just sitting around talking. It was like 3 of us, and we were like best friends, but we kind of like, we didn't love all of the other people that we were around.
Right.
And we were having this conversation about like, we just hang out with these people because they're black as well.
Right.
And we just ended up having this conversation. I was like, I've never heard this conversation in a movie before. Like this
I don't think it's ever been depicted in a movie or on television.
Well, because I think like oftentimes with black movies and shows, and this is not a slight, but it's it's the black experience among black people. But my black experience has always been among white people.
Right.
It's always been like trying to figure out who I am and where my tribe is among a group of people who have assumptions about me, positive or negative. Having to navigate what I am in society.
Now, you're the first person that I've met that's gone to Chapman because my 19-year-old son attends Chapman right now.
Yeah.
And he seems to be loving it.
Yeah.
And when I look at his IG or his Snapchats, he's having a ball. I don't see no black people in what's the black population like at Chapman, man?
It's low, man.
Yeah.
It's really low. I don't
And
know.
it's a small college.
It's already a small college to
Right.
begin with. I mean, I'll say this, I was a film student, so like the film school was already international, and you had like, different kind of folks. I'm not saying it was the most diverse place I ever went to,
Right.
but the film school was all right. It was really just the town itself, and I encountered so many people that literally just had never met a black person before. It was a culture shock because I'm from Houston. Houston was just named the most diverse city in the country.
Wow.
And I went to performing arts high school, so I was constantly around people of literally every gender,
Right.
race, sexual orientation. So I go from there to like Old Town Orange, where there's Confederate flags hanging, even though it's not the South. And
Wow.
everyone's white. Like it was a culture shock, to say the least. Yeah.
Now, Logan, what's your collegiate experience?
So I started off at Vanderbilt my freshman year. Had the best time. It was similar to Winchester in the sense of we had a black cultural center and, of course, mostly white campus. And we would convene in this black cultural center, all of our events. I had classes there. And then my personal experience, I started to bounce around because I was working. I took a leave of absence from Vandy, and I was still a working actor, so I went to UCLA Extension and Cal State LA back home in Georgia, and so it's just been kind of a bouncing around. That's kind of how my high school was, though, because I've been working since I was 14.
Right.
So I went to 4 different high schools and I homeschooled myself. So I feel like I've gotten, and it's interesting. My parents, I went to private school and I went to public school. Like I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood in a mostly black county. So the public school I went to was mostly black, but the people I was around when I went home were mostly white. I've always been in kind of those like strange circumstances either way. I'd say strange because I think when you're in any place that's like all one thing, sometimes it can seem it's not normal. I think normal is a melting of everyone. But that's.
Let me ask you, how close or how personal is Sam White's personal struggle or journey to yours?
Pretty close. I'm always trying to figure out where I fit in. I grew up with parents who, made sure I knew I was black in a positive way, and I was in Georgia that made sure I knew I was black in a not so positive way. And I think I relate to Sam in that way. And also, actually, I think Sam is struggling to like prove a lot of her blackness.
Well, she has to because she put her. I don't want to spoil this, but she definitely, talked that talk.
Yeah.
And now she has to walk that walk.
Yeah, and I think people look to her for that too.
Right.
And I think that because she showed an interest in it early, people like Reggie who were close to her.
I'm rooting for Reggie, by the way.
You team Reggie.
I'm rooting for Reggie.
Team Reggie.
Team Reggie.
Well, people like Reggie, like kind of, they put it on her. They saw her interest, they saw that spark, and made her the leader. And because she's capable, she went in that direction. But that's a lot on a young person's shoulders. Think about millennials now who are being activists. You've got the gorgeous Miss Yara Shahidi, and think about things that are on her shoulders. She showed interest in activism, and now people look to her. She's like about to go to prom, and she's she's speaking on behalf of black people everywhere.
When I think back on the anxiety that I had in college. I can't even relate to it now because it's so far. I've lived so much, and the things that seem so silly to me right now were just so life and death. Like I remember, like if I got the wrong haircut, I fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Or if I dated the wrong person that wasn't in this particular circle, what kind of social cachet was I gaining or I losing? How were you able to maintain that level of anxiety and that level of confusion? Really, this has been a project that you've been working on for such a long time.
For a long time,
and it feels so fresh.
Yeah, thank you, man. I mean, listen, I don't think it ever fully goes away.
Right.
I think this tension of like who I am, because who we really are is always changing and evolving and growing, and we're always going deeper and deeper. But what we are has to kind of stay a little fixed in order for us to like move around in society. So we never really leave that conflict of identity versus self. But in college, it's certainly very pronounced. And I remember, I go back to middle school, and I was such a bad black kid because like
were you showing out, man?
Well, no, it's just like my jeans were always creased the wrong way. My hair, like my S curl never like went through. My finger waves never went through. My mom always like got me the wrong shoes.
You had a J curl, man?
No, I tried to get the waves because that was the thing, but like I was too lazy to like brush it.
You said a J curl.
No, it lasted for like a couple days because like I looked at myself in the mirror, I was like, what the hell did I just do? But I was bad at all the things that like the black kids around me were really good at.
Right, like you struggled. You struggled with black cool.
Oh yeah, I struggled with black cool, and particularly where I went to middle school, I wasn't really accepted by any of the major groups. I mean, I was a misfit for sure in middle school, and I remember my mom bought me like the Shaqs when everyone had Jordans, and it was just like I just could never like get it right.
Did you ever get it right though?
I don't think so.
Are you still trying to get it right?
No, I'm not trying to get it right anymore. I think that's the difference.
Isn't that the beauty of it though?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that I tell people at my age right now that I'm not trying to get it right because I'm so comfortable.
I don't care.
I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at that age, how do you tell? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I see my 18-year-old going through something, I'm like, yo, this is caca. And they're like, no, you don't understand that. I'm like, no, I do understand. But they can't possibly understand because they're not looking at it from the vantage point that I'm looking at.
Well, it's one of the reasons I made the show. Is to sort of, it's a bunch of characters who are kind of stuck in their identities, for better or for worse, frankly. I think Lionel needs an identity in the show. And so, they all have different relationships with their identity, and I hope people who are their age and people who aren't their age can see themselves in the characters and maybe rethink, how important it is they're seen. I mean, listen, there's still people out here like, my brand this, my brand that, this is my brand. And it's like,
well, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, but a brand is like, a brand is a fixed identity. Mm-hmm. And, woe is the person who thinks they are what they were.
Let's talk about what you just mentioned. Identity versus self, because you've spoken a lot about that. And what is the difference to people that haven't heard this conversation or this discussion or this explanation?
I mean, to me, identity is it's how you interact with society. It's like, it's your identifying thing. So like, I'm a black gay filmmaker. Like that's my identity. I talk about, racial politics. Like that's part of my identity. But that's really like the person that I am in navigating with the world in terms of like my professional career, when I'm in interview situations, that's like my public persona. But when I go home, I'm a lot more than those things. Like those things are part of me, but like there's a lot else going on. And I think both are important. Like you really can't, especially when you're part of a marginalized community, you can't just go out there just being yourself and expect to
be unapologetically you.
It's really difficult for us to do that and find success in this country. But it's important to nurture who I really am when I'm at home and when I'm not having to be something, for other people or to advance some aspect of my career,
Which is why it's so entertaining to watch Sam's character, because she's even in this small setting. She's constantly code switching, which is what we do, as people of color.
Totally.
We're masters at code switching. You know what I mean? But do you feel that white people have to code switch as much, or not necessarily so? I mean, I don't have that perspective. I don't know them that intimately, but I would assume that they don't have to because they're the.
They don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about it.
Yeah, I don't think white people. The thing is, generally speaking, they have the luxury of not having to.
They're
do
the
that.
default
Right.
character.
Yeah, that's the
We
thing.
all have to code
Every-
switch around them.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I think some white people do because that's just part of human nature. Like, especially white people who do, for whatever reason, move between black and white worlds. You know.
What's
or-
up, bro?
Yeah, exactly. Or just
true.
like, you know, everyone's a little bit different from their work friends
Right.
or with their family, whatever.
Yeah.
But we do it as like kind of a means of survival.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they have to do
They
it.
don't
It's,
have. They don't have a sense of urgency with regard to surviving in different environments.
Yeah, like when they're in a job interview, they don't think about taking on a different accent. They just speak the way they speak.
A different affect, right?
Yeah, yeah. Whereas, like, I think we all have that experience of like, yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's wonderful.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't have that experience?
Exactly.
You know?
Hey, yo, internets. Support for the Combat Jack Show is brought to you by the Spotify original podcast, Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty, hosted by me, Reggie Osei, a.k.a. Combat Jack. This story is about a music exec who changed hip-hop, and he shaped the careers of some of its most beloved artists, whether we're talking about LL Cool J, Missy Elliott, Diddy, Nas, 50 Cent, so many more. One of the most illustrious careers in the music industry, Chris Lighty rose to the top pinnacle of music success before a very untimely death. The story is more than just music. It's the story of the American dream, internets. All this caca about Spotify, download it, motherfuckers, download it. It doesn't cost you anything. Just download the app. We've spoon-fed y'all. Now it's time for y'all to listen to great podcasts on a different level. Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty, is a Spotify original podcast produced by Gimlet Media and the Loudspeakers Network. Follow and listen to Mogul every week, exclusively on Spotify. Now back to the show.
I mean, like, even being conscious of things like I'm going into a jewelry store and I feel like I have to, like, show you that my hands aren't in my pockets or they're, like, my purse is not, I don't have a backpack. Like, little things like that a white person really isn't worried about.
And also, like, speaking of a jewelry, like when someone like mentions the price,
Yes.
you know, having,
That's expensive.
Yeah. Like I think, like I have that like double think reaction where it's like, I can't let them see me react to that,
Right.
because of all of the assumptions, you know. And I don't know that white people just go through the world like constantly like self-monitoring. I mean, I'll put it this way. If you're part of a marginalized community, you do it. So if you're a white gay person, I think you understand code switching.
Right.
But just if we're talking about straight white men and in some cases straight white women, they don't have to do it as often as a means of survival.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, I got to congratulate you guys on the success of the show.
Thank you.
You guys have 100% score rating on
It's
Rotten
true.
Tomatoes. Is that true?
Certified
True,
fresh.
yeah.
And like I'm noticing that all of our you know the cream of the crop, like Black entertainment, is like at the top 5% of Rotten Tomatoes. Man,
Yeah.
shout out to Get Out and who else in that? Like
Barry Jenkins. From
yes,
Moonlight.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how's this feel? Does this feel like a renaissance to you of like Black entertainment?
It does. I think we can't take it for granted because we've been
Atlanta, shout out to Atlanta, by the way.
Yeah.
Insecure.
Yeah, Insecure, yes.
Yep. We've been here before, you know, like in the 90s, Black was really in vogue.
And in the 80s when Black
Yeah.
was in vogue, and in the 70s when
That's
Black was in
true.
vogue, like every other era we've been in vogue, and then something happens and then we're no longer in
Yeah.
vogue.
But I do think that this is the first time where you have multiple, like for instance, like my show, Issa's show, Atlanta, they're all about the experience of young Black people, but they couldn't be more different from each other.
No.
And what that is subtly suggesting is that Black people are human. We're not this one thing. Like you can't. I know.
Are we human?
Shocking. You can't just watch one of the shows and get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that that's great because that's where white people have been in the culture
Right.
since, you know, time immemorial.
Of course.
You know, you don't even think about them as white shows. You just there's just multiple shows.
It's shows and then it's Black shows,
Yeah.
or it's that Latin show, it's that
Yeah.
Asian show.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I don't understand, man, and I talk about this a lot on Twitter, is how a society, how is it possible that a society has been studying us, studying our humanity, studying our physiology, studying our psychology since we got here, and it's 2017 and they still don't fucking get it. Like, I don't understand that disconnect, because I think we have a good grasp on
White people.
white people, right?
Because we have to see ourselves in white people. We don't have a choice. Like when up until Barack Obama, you look at the President of the United States, you look at most popular films and TV shows, most popular music. We have to imprint ourselves upon the majority culture. We don't have a choice. And so I think that's part of it, because they have the luxury of dropping it or not doing it. But the thing, like this black-white thing, I've been kind of talking about this a lot. It was an invention. It was invented in the 1700s to keep ex-slaves from being considered citizens.
Yes.
So this divide is intentionally designed to keep us separate and marginalized, and we're stuck in the aftermath of it. And so as long as we are, it's gonna be like that.
So there's no way around this shit, is there? Like we're stuck.
The only way around it is
Aliens, like
aliens.
real
Aliens.
aliens.
Aliens, a common threat.
Yes.
No, I mean, I do think
It's the aliens. To me, aliens is the only fucking
I
solution.
always think that too. Like,
If some green motherfucker comes down and starts,
They gonna look at
it's
you
like
like,
they don't give a
oh.
fuck. We gotta be like,
They
yo,
were like, you know, we're all the same now.
Green or not.
we're all food.
Yeah, exactly. You might be right. That might be the cure. But the thing is, like, it's never going to change unless white people join the conversation. Because listen,
Right.
and here's the deal. Like,
And once again, there is really no urgency for them to join.
no
the
urgency.
conversation.
Well, there is now.
Well,
I think that there is now.
with
because-
this whole new era, this whole new
I
with your
do.
president.
Yes, well, not mine,
No.
but because here's the thing, I do think for the first time, straight white men in particular are having to confront the fact that American racism, specifically American racism against black people, puts a completely incompetent, egomaniacal narcissist in control of the highest position in the land.
This is the perfect example
and
of
we're
how
all in jeopardy
white
because of
male supremacy works.
Yeah,
Like-
and we're all in jeopardy because of racism against black people.
Yes.
And not
And
everyone sees
sexism
that.
against women.
Absolutely, sexism plays a part, but let's be clear. A lot of this is in response to the fact that we had a black president.
Of course.
Since he took office.
Of course, one of our best presidents.
Yeah, one of our everything from trying to repeal Obamacare to the tax, just trying to erase his name from history
Right.
is so clearly a motivation for so much of this. And I think white straight liberals are they have to. It is a matter of urgency for them to awaken to it now in a way that it just wasn't before.
A question I posited yesterday was, when, the classic Chris Rock story is there's black people and there's niggas. And like I mean, and I put it in a way that some people were offended because I was joking, like us respectable Negroes. You know how us respectable Negroes, when we see some niggas, sometimes we get embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I asked a question yesterday. I wonder if some white people are embarrassed by the presence
Wow.
of is it your president?
Nah, man.
No, not your president, Logan?
Nah.
Okay, so their president. Like, I
Logan,
wonder if
I
there's a
thought
sense of
you-
embarrassment because I think they have a different sense of identity,
Yeah.
collective identity than we do. We are judged by our people. They necessarily are judged by the individual. So I wonder if there's a sense of embarrassment.
I
I think to a degree.
really.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a tricky one.
I've met some. Listen, this is actually.
Well, if they don't own like the fact that their ancestors were slaves, then why would they own
Yeah.
this?
That's true too.
Well, you know what? There's like I'll talk about a tweet that one of our writers, Jack, wrote after the election. After the election, one of our white guy on our staff, Jack, he tweeted "fuck white people," and this tweet, by the way, was taken way out of context by like really crazy trolls on Twitter. I'm not going there, but he,
Dear white people writer is racist.
yeah. This show is
So
about
y'all
white genocide.
added gasoline to the
Yeah,
flame.
well, I mean, this was like months before
Right.
the show came out, so we didn't know. But I do think that there are some white people who are feeling embarrassed. I don't think that that's like the majority.
Right.
But it's not even about being embarrassed for your race. It's about we're all citizens of this country. Like we should
Well
all
said.
be embarrassed
Yes.
by this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, definitely he's an embarrassment as an American.
Yeah.
Like when I travel offshore, I'm like, yeah, well,
Yeah,
I
you got nothing to
I got
say.
nothing. I got nothing.
The fact that our country
Is being run by this incompetent.
and
Clown.
we're all a part of this country, so we are all a part of the system that allowed for this to happen.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember traveling to Belgium 10 years ago, and this guy at this bar, the more we drank, started getting more aggressive against me. And then I realized, like, yo, he might want to fight me. And the reason why he wanted to fight me was because he couldn't understand how we allowed, quote unquote, allowed a second term Bush presidency.
Wow.
Like, and so it was like,
Same.
and this is Bush, and Bush right now is
Oh
looking
my-
like
oh
like
my
I
God.
love
Like a
Bush right.
saint.
Like I always had a soft spot for Bush because I always felt that.
He looks like a saint now.
I always felt that. I didn't think he was evil.
It's
I just think that he
crazy.
was
Dumb.
forced into that position.
He was a
Even with the
puppet.
towel.
He didn't want to
was a
do. He
puppet.
didn't want to. He didn't want. It was his papa's.
He was a puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking at Bush, right? Like, how does Bush look so good?
That's bad.
Because this dude is just insane. He's insane. And we literally, I mean, it just boggles my mind. Like, people were so miffed by a black president that they literally, like, enabled the
That's how it works.
craziest, most incompetent
That's how it works.
person. I mean, it's just
That's
really,
how.
and
But it's
refuse
scary.
to see that that's what they did.
But
There's-
it's scary to me because we had Michael J. Wood,
Michael Woods. Michael Woods Jr.
Michael Wood Jr.
Mhm.
Baltimore former Baltimore police officer, white
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
He's just recently moved to L.A. and he was saying how, in the face of an unlevel playing field,
Mm-hmm.
equality seems unjust.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And what that has me thinking is, if America really started to live up to its values, its core values, as is written in the Constitution, all men are created equal, and if we really started to see a form of vast equality amongst everyone, I feel somebody would push the button. Like, I feel somebody would rather blow this ball up
right.
than experience.
What equality might feel like.
Because I'm already looking at it. They already pushed the button with this dude.
Right, yeah. I mean, the other thing too is, like, we don't talk about slavery. Like, we just don't. Like, it's a week in a history class. It's a month maybe out of the year.
28 days.
Yeah, where people talk about what, he invented peanut butter or whatever. But, like, the truth is like,
Cotton mill.
we make this joke in the show, and it's so true. Like, in Germany, they instill in their citizens not just a week in school, but their entire educational lives. They talk about the Holocaust.
Yes.
Like, the names of Jews that were killed are in the pavement, or in the main cities. Like, you cannot escape the atrocity of the Holocaust. And so what happens is they have an informed citizenry that will never do that again. And we just don't do that with slavery.
But you got to
refuse
understand,
to.
our racism is so delicious.
It's
so dope. You know what I'm saying?
It's also really profitable.
It's profitable. I mean, this whole turning back like mandatory minimum sentences. I mean, what purpose is that other than to make jails profitable again? You know what
Do
I'm
you
saying?
know how
Or
many corporations are literally getting free labor from black men in
yeah,
jail? Like, it's
exactly. The new Jim Crow, right?
It's disgusting.
All right. Before we depress ourselves
Yeah.
and our
Over
audience,
here with-
man, how
right.
are white people enjoying Dear White People?
What do you think, Logan?
I think they're loving it. I've had so many people come up to me and just want to talk about the show,
Yeah.
whether it's just about the characters. I mean, talking about white people seeing themselves in these characters. Justin's talked about that some. It's the goal. It's one of the goals. And then having white people say, hey, I had, a Muslim roommate in college, and, I didn't realize that this thing I said wasn't okay. Like, watching the show has made me rethink before I speak, even. I mean, little things like that. And I think everyone really likes the show.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe I'm in a bubble.
Well, no, when the teaser came out, the alt-right got in a tizzy, but since the show's come out, I'll be honest with you, it's like 95% positive, and the 5% negative I get, they're completely insane.
Right.
Like, they're not like
They're
reasonable
batshit.
people.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you check, they've got 3 followers.
Yeah.
You know,
They're egg.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just, I mean, they're really, really fringe opinions. So I gotta say, I mean, I think white people love the show.
Let's talk about that backlash, man, because
Yeah.
I hadn't seen a backlash like that in a while. I thought Get Out was going to get that
I know,
backlash.
and it really
It didn't.
They
But-
snuck it in.
Yeah,
which is great.
I mean, I was like, yo,
Well, they
when-
tricked white people.
They
They
well,
did.
but I saw it like
Yeah.
before it came out. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
they
But
gonna
you know what's
come out with
smart?
the pitchforks
But
and
you
the
know what's
torches.
smart? They advertised that it's just a straightforward horror movie.
Yes.
You didn't really know what you were getting
Right,
into
right,
once you
right,
got
right.
in.
Like
But you-
horror
but-
humor.
Yeah,
But
it
you
was really
could not
smart.
avoid Dear White People.
No, it's
Like,
in
let's
the
talk
title.
about that backlash, man. Was it frightening at a certain point?
It was not frightening.
No?
I was
It was everywhere.
It felt personal when the movie came out because
Right.
that was my first experience. But with the show, it wasn't frightening, and let me tell you why. Because it was so ludicrously it it was such an absurd reaction to what really amounted to a 1-minute teaser trailer that just was really a date announcement where a black girl goes on the radio and asks white people to stop wearing blackface.
Right.
There was nothing about
but motherfuckers stop wearing blackface.
Yeah, which is a completely reasonable
like,
request,
nigga, like
by
it's
the way.
2017.
But like,
There are other costumes.
Yeah.
But the outrage was so obviously manufactured. And
You spoke about that.
Yeah,
like
it was
bots.
It was completely manufactured. I mean, I think that there certainly was a contingency of people that felt some type of way, but I think that they were way more concerned with creating a talking point to rally their supporters than they were really offended. Because, I mean, when you look at who was doing it, almost none of them had a real face in their profiles. Very low follower numbers. These are clearly just bots, and it's fake outrage. And they were able to make it into the press that there was a quote unquote boycott. There was no real boycott
Of Netflix, right?
Yeah, there was no real Netflix boycott. Just like there was no Starbucks boycott. Like they were just making talking points so they could make the news. And so I wasn't afraid because it was so transparent to me, and because I also knew the show that I made.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that what I was doing had nothing to do with what they were projecting onto me. It made me sad, but frightened, no.
What was Netflix response? Were they completely supportive? Where they were like,
support.
So
hey,
supportive.
Justin, you might slow down. Can we change the name?
Complete support. From, like literally the day after, got an email from the head of the company saying, "I'm so proud to be in business with you guys."
So does that mean is there a season 2?
I hope so.
Has that been announced yet?
It has not been announced.
Waiting.
But how do you feel? I mean, do you
I
think?
feel good. I feel positive about
Yeah,
it.
I still have to watch the last 2 episodes, man.
Yeah.
I still got to watch. But one of the things you did say that kind of answers my question also, I don't want to get into it, but there's this particular turning point in this one episode, I think it's episode 5, where you see the division between the white students and the black students, and then you see the unity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what your show does very well is maintain its sense of being uncompromisingly black, but not to the exclusion of whites. And and it's not even like pandering or kowtowing or whatever. It's just this is your vision that you see. Can you talk about that?
I mean, to me, it's like it's a conversation that involves all of us. It's not, and again, my experience of being a black person is not being around all black people. I've just never had that luxury. Right. And when I am around all black people, it can be a little awkward, just not now, but when I was growing up, just because, I mean, I got the you talk white thing and, who do you, I got that stuff growing up. So it was kind of awkward, what I mean? So for me to try to have this conversation and not include white people in it, just feels passe.
Right.
I just feel like there's no other way to do it at this point.
Talk about the Twilight Zone type quality that you guys must have experienced when you wrap this season on election day.
You know what?
Talk about that.
I'm gonna pass this one to Logan for one reason alone, because this young woman and John Patrick, who plays Gabe, we were filming a really heavy scene in the midst of getting those election results, and they were able to hold it together in a way that was really remarkable.
That was a task. I mean, you also got to think, on a wrap day of a show, people are excited, right? There are gifts, there's food trucks, there's
mannequin challenges.
Mannequin challenges in Armstrong Parker. I mean, it is amazing. Everyone's having a great time. It's also election day. We voted early. People are assuming that by the end of the day, we're going to be in victory.
We got duped.
And we got right around after lunch, and things started to change. People's phones are out, the TVs are on, and everyone on set is just depressed as hell.
Yes, that should hurt.
And John Patrick and I were about to shoot. We actually shot, or it was a reshoot of a scene from the first episode where he comes in and he's like, "Oh, is that the party?" and "Hate it when Bay leaves," that scene. And I had to take John Patrick by the wrist and drag him outside of the entire studio and be like, this doesn't exist for us right now.
Right.
We can't live in this world right now, because by the end of the night, you know where I was? I was balled up in a corner, hyperventilating, crying on the phone with my mom. Couldn't do that in the middle of the scene. But how crazy that the show
I'm grateful
was.
that y'all held it together, because, I mean, the crew was falling apart.
Right.
Yeah.
I was falling apart.
Right.
And, I mean, I remember I had to give an announcement like, guys, I know, but we got to get through this day. And I remember I was stuck in traffic going home from the shoot. And it was like right when
Were you listening to the news?
Yeah, it was like right when one of those last states was called where it was like, she's not going to win. And I just remember, like, it's so surreal. Like, whenever I see footage of, like, the glass ceiling breaking and she gets the nomination, or, like, people, like, you know, oh, she's going to win. Like, just footage, it's like PTSD.
Did you guys watch the screen when he, like, walks out? Were you watching TV or no?
No, I turned it off.
Unfortunately, I was, and that was the worst, probably the worst experience of my life.
I enjoyed certain herbs that were available in California at the time, and I turned the television off. And
before you leave, you have to connect me to your friend who, the proprietor
the
of
herb
some of these special herbs.
Yeah, they're really like rosemary, oregano.
Thyme.
Yeah, it's just, you know.
Cilantro and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Sage and such.
Internet. Today's episode of the Combat Jack Show is brought to you specifically by Bevel, the first and only shaving system designed for people with coarse, curly hair and sensitive skin. Let's run down these numbers. Up to 80% of black men and women experience razor bumps, and up to 30% of all men and women experience razor bumps. You don't have to be a part of the statistics anymore. Stop that. Start shaving smarter with Bevel. 9 out of 10 Bevel customers continue to come back because they see the results. A clean shave that leaves their skin smooth and glowing and reduce razor bumps and irritation. And Father's Day is around the corner. We're used to getting caca for gifts. Old Spice. Nasty ties that we don't even go to church and y'all getting us church socks and ties. We don't want that shit. You know what I'm saying? We don't want Nana put the needles down. We don't need no scarf. Everybody wants a Bevel. Go surprise your pops, man. You never know. Your pops always aspires to be great. He's holding down the family. Make him feel good, man. Surprise him with his first bump-free shave by getting him a Bevel. And right now you can get $30 off of a 90-day supply of the Bevel shave system when you go to getbevel.com/Jack. That's getbevel.com/Jack to save $30 on a 90-day supply of the Bevel shaving system. I wish I didn't have Bevel so that I could get into my kid's ass and tell them to get me a Bevel. This is Bevel Inception. Listen, get a gift of good, smooth, bump-free shave with Bevel to your pops. Getbevel.com/Jack. I'm out. Back to the show. So, you know, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is you've been living with this property for over 10 years. You started writing this during George Bush's second term,
Yeah, that's right. It was right before Obama.
Right, so it was like post-racial.
Yeah.
And now it's super
Yeah.
post-racial.
Yeah.
So is this, in effect, is Dear White People, the show that we're watching right now, is it a period piece that existed before Trump's America? Like, would your vision of this institution be different had it been germinated and created and delivered during this period?
I don't think so, because I was constantly rewriting it.
Okay.
I think the movie exists as a document of where we were before all of this stuff burst. I think the movie is very much the world of Winchester in the film is a world in which you really can't talk about racism because everyone is so colorblind that they're blind to the experiences of people of color.
Right.
But I think the show certainly embraces the times in a much more straightforward way, because while we were writing the show, all of this was happening. Like, Trump was like moving up the ranks. Like, we were terrified then, and we were all of the
But it
racists,
still wasn't a reality.
It wasn't a reality, but
it was a nightmare.
But the underpinnings that made it a reality were very much evident.
Right.
And, you know, in that writers' rooms, I mean, we are students, and we like really try to get to the heart of issues. And so, you know, the fact that like racists were emboldened, that was not that was very much in the culture and the zeitgeist. And I got to say, as crestfallen as I was the night of November 8th when we wrapped, the next week I got right back into editing, and I'm in episode 3.
Right.
And one of the characters makes a statement about the corporate republic we call America. And I was just like, thank God we wrote the show. Because like we are commenting on it in a way that I don't think we realize how hard it would hit. But the show, I think, you know, just really through the universe, I'd have to say, is about where we are right now in a way that I don't think we could have prepared for.
Right. Hypothetically, season 2.
Yeah.
How does the show look different?
To me, it's all about going deeper.
Right.
It's all about making you feel like you think you know these characters. You may have spent some time with them, but you don't know their deepest secrets. You know you don't know the things that they go home with at night. And I also think the the sort of counter activism, the so-called alt-right, sort of taking on these racist causes as a kind of activism in the 21st century. That's something I'm very interested in exploring, because being a target of it was really eye-opening, and I did a deep, dark dive into their culture.
How so?
Well, you know, first of all, my boyfriend, because I didn't really know what was happening. I was like, how are these many people hitting down like on YouTube? Like, how is this even possible? And he sort of introduced me to, oh, well, you're being the target of a web brigade, and this is what they do.
How does he know this?
Because he's a techie, and he's worked in like tech for a while, and so he just sort of like, I started, first it started with Wikipedia, then with Urban Dictionary, and then I went on to like 4chan and like these like subreddits, and I just kind of like immersed myself in a bit with their memes and their points of views. And it was,
I couldn't do that, man.
It was, but I was doing it.
You went to hell.
I was doing it as a student though.
You walked in.
But there's a distance. There's a distance when you get to just study it.
Yeah, you were a tourist in hell.
Because the truth is, I'm gonna whip this up and put it into story, because that's what I do. So it actually was very interesting, because at the core of it is this feeling that I'm unheard, and this feeling that like the majority culture doesn't get me. And what's so bizarre about it is that's exactly how Black people feel. I think our feelings are statistically backed up by actual oppression, but the feeling is very similar.
Yes.
And I think that that's interesting, and that's an interesting thing to explore, how these two wildly different sides have the same pain. I think that's interesting.
Justin's also talked about going deeper into some of the characters who you don't get to see.
Yeah.
Like Joelle, who you don't get to really like.
Yeah, Joelle is
walk
like,
with her as much.
Everyone was like, "Where's the Joelle episode though?" So I got you. I got you. It's coming.
Once again, no spoilers, man. Maybe I should not say that. I can't. This is a spoiler. But people should have seen the series already, right? Can we drop
it's
a
been
little
out for almost 3 weeks.
Half spoiler. Like I didn't see the backlash yet, but someone dies on the show. Somebody died on the show. I was like, what the fuck?
Not laughing at death.
I mean, that fucked
It's
me
a funny
up.
death.
Now I haven't watched it, but is there like a follow up to that? Like, or did he just die? Like, is there like,
no,
did he die in vain?
No, his death. His death very much is part of the world of the story.
You went there, B. Like, you really went there.
It's not really a spoiler, because people who have seen the movie you're not gonna see it coming.
I was like, what? Logan, Sam lights up every scene.
Wow.
She lights up every scene. Like, would you say that she's the main character of the show?
Thank you for saying
that.
that.
But would you say that, either of you? Like,
I see her as the glue that like links all of these characters.
Hence main.
My personal, this is my first time being number one on the call sheet.
Right.
And for me, I take that leadership role seriously. And so in the way that my parents supported me to no end growing up, and that's what made me want to do what I do so well, I want to give that back. So I feel like I'm my cast's number one fan. And I see them all as like, I see us all as these stars of the show because it's multi-protagonist.
Right.
We kind of are all these stars of this thing, and I think I just kind of link them all together.
But that's not really what the point of my question is your DMs lighting up right now?
That's hilarious.
Are they lighting up right now?
I've had some really strange experiences.
I've heard some voicemails. It's fine.
There are some stories. I won't out people.
No,
but
don't out anybody. But
some
is it
people,
crazy now?
I mean, some people like some people you'd be very surprised about are like thirsty.
Like industry,
like sweet.
industry
like
cat?
Sweet but
thirsty. Like
you set the trap, and here comes the thirst, right? How you dealing with that? It's a new, like, you've been working in this game for a long time, but how are you dealing with this newfound level of fame?
I guess I don't realize that. My parents are just like, my dad was the most humble guy and just treated everyone the same, and so I just feel like I treat everyone the way I wanted to be treated. I don't know. I don't really. I guess I don't get it. Maybe I don't get it.
Right.
Maybe I'm oblivious to it.
But now you have access to a lot more. Like, you can now DM whoever the hell you want.
You know what I will say? I do appreciate the fact that I'm in a place in my life where I can start making choices that matter and say things that matter, and people will listen. And I feel like not everyone deserves to have that kind of attention because they don't do the best things with it.
Right.
So I do appreciate that I'm in a place where I can highlight the people in my life who do great things.
Your media training is so on point right now.
I don't have any media training.
Oh, that was so well delivered.
Oh, thanks.
That was so well delivered. Now, Justin, before we went on air, you were talking about how you've shut down your Twitters.
Just on my phone. Just
On
on
your
my
phone? Really?
Yeah.
How? How,
So
Sway?
it's not permanent.
Right.
Okay.
What
But
happened?
this
Like
is-
you get all this. You're in the center of like this force of nature when white America comes at you, and
Yeah.
you're standing in the middle of that.
Here's what was
strong.
hap-
What
here
the
was-
fuck happened,
here's,
B?
Here's what was happening. What was happening is I'd get up around 7 a.m.
Yes.
and the first thing I do is check my phone because I need to know what time it is.
Of course.
Next thing I do is go into Twitter.
Notifications.
And then I'm immediately sour for the rest of the day because of whatever Trump just said and did.
Oh no!
And whatever article just came out. And I just find myself just
No.
retweeting like, oh my God, we have to get him out. And I'm like, I'm only
No.
talking to the people that already agree with me, one. And
Right.
but two, like,
Don't let Trump
yeah, but
build
the
the
other,
wall around
but the
you
other
with
thing, but the
and
other
Twitter.
thing too is like, it really is kind of addictive, like,
Yes.
because I am getting more attention on Twitter than I had before, and just hitting that refresh button, and saying, "Oh, what you guys? Oh, you like the show too? Retweet." It just felt a little dirty, and
Is it cathartic a little bit?
yeah, it was cathartic, but it was also like, I should get my dopamine fix from other things. So like my thing is like I'm still on Twitter and I will put it back on my phone, by the way.
Put it back on your phone, bro.
But I just like I needed a week off. It really was my boyfriend challenged me to do a week just because I honestly was waking up pissed off.
Right.
And we talked about I'm a Buddhist, like I have a morning ritual I was trying to do, and it would just be derailed because I'd be so mad. I would spend like 2 hours just retweeting like, "Oh my God, Comey," or whatever the heck it was, and it was wasting my time. It was wasting my time.
Yeah.
So I had to like.
You know what? Let's talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
like one of the things that we have in common is we're both practicing Buddhists. We
Yeah.
both chant. We're Nichiren Buddhists. SGI.
Yep.
We chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
That's right.
I read that about you. I've been practicing now for 27 years.
It's amazing.
And my practice has gone from like sometimes I'm super focused and I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
chant that eat that hour in the morning.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, man.
Yeah.
But I find now, even when I'm maintaining my morning ritual of chanting that hour,
Mhm.
half the time I'm scrolling through. Has that happened to you? Are you like
I started.
practicing right now? Are you on social media and chanting?
No.
No, you got to help me, bro.
I put it on airplane mode because I was when I first started.
Oh,
chanting,
you got to help me. This shit is so.
When I first started
Yo, help me,
chanting-
Justin.
Dude, when I
I'm
first started,
fake chanting right now, my dude.
this is what when I first started chanting, I'd be answering texts. Like I was like, so I try to put it on airplane mode just so I don't even have the temptation.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I took Twitter off my phone because like I don't have to respond to everything.
Right.
Like it's it was getting to be a bit of a trap.
Guys, I'm really impressed that you can chant and text at the same time.
You're
I
not
mean,
supposed to.
You're not.
but
I'm not
we've all
supposed to.
done
But
it.
it's
Some of
very
my
We've all
members are
done
gonna be
it.
like, Reggie.
We've all done it
Yeah, yeah.
though, you know.
But let's talk about your practice, man. How did you become a Buddhist, and how did you apply it? Because I know about the practice. I know
Yeah,
how
yeah.
I apply it to the Combat Jack show.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of my niggas out there don't really understand that I'm doing that. But
Yeah,
I want
for sure.
to talk about your practice and
Yeah.
what it means to you and how this helped you flourish. In
So
this.
I was raised Catholic,
Okay.
and
I'm more Catholic than you, by the way.
really,
More Catholic.
how?
What is
Okay.
that?
I'm more Catholic than any motherfucker I know.
How?
Okay, I got you. You want to put some money on it?
No.
Does anybody want to put some money
I
on
just
it?
want to
Okay,
know what you
so,
mean.
Family's from Haiti. I'm first generation. Right?
Okay.
In Haiti, the priesthood is like seen as like the fourth
Uh-huh.
occupation: lawyer, doctor, whatever,
Sure.
priest. Right? Out of my 5 uncles, 4 of them are Catholic priests,
Wow.
and my 2 aunts are Catholic nuns.
So you were in it.
So I grew up
Wow.
like running around in the church, drinking the wine,
Yeah,
altar
you-
boy. They're
you
like,
more
he's gonna be
Catholic
the
than
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You know
so-
all your creeds, Nicene Creed,
No,
Apostles'
I don't
Creed.
know. I don't know.
I went to Catholic school. I'm not Catholic, but went to Catholic school, so know all those
So you,
things.
yeah, you
That's so
probably
funny.
would know them better than I. I just took it for granted. Like,
You can have the title though.
yeah,
Yeah, so I was raised Catholic, and at a certain point, as a gay black boy, you're like, there's something about this that's not working for me. And
Right.
so I went on a spiritual journey, and I was part of different churches. And long story short, there was a point in my life when I started meditating. I was meditating twice a day, and it was really wonderful and introspective. But then I kind of dropped it. And then when basically like I made this concept trailer for Dear White People. It went viral, and I decided to quit my job and just focus full time on trying to get this movie made.
You risked it all.
I risked it all. A year and a half later, the movie still wasn't made. I was broke. I was out of my unemployment checks. I really didn't know how next month's rent was going to come through, and all the prospects that were, seeming like they could make the movie happen had gone away. And, so of course, this is the moment when a friend of a friend of a friend, invites me to one of these meetings. And I'm open to it because I'd already meditated.
Right.
And
was it weird when you walked into this meeting?
It wasn't just because I had that meditation practice. Right. And I was already open to the idea
all these super happy motherfuckers.
Yeah, they're real happy. Hey, how's it going? Oh, you're going through a struggle? Congratulations. And so, and I'm, I think like a lot of people who were raised Catholic, very anti-organized religion. Yes. So I was leery, but when I sat down and I started to chant, I couldn't deny what I felt. And what I felt was something I only felt after I was like meditating in the best circumstances. Right. I just felt a fire in my chest. And so I try to say, that when you start chanting, they say start chanting for what you want. So I started chanting about the movie, making it happen. I ended up house sitting for a friend for some extra cash. They were a Buddha. I didn't know this, but they had a Gohanzen in their house, and the Gohanzen is a scroll that you kind of chant with.
Did they have an Il Butsudan? Or
they had a Butsudan, and you chant with the scroll because it represents you in your life. Anyway, so I was like, okay, well this is a sign. So I started chanting to that Gohanzen, and then by the end of the week when they came back, and I was thinking like, okay, well I gave it a week, nothing really happened. I think, this was a great experiment, but I'm not going to go get a Gohanzen. I'm not going to join this thing. And literally the last day that I had with my friends Gohanzen, I got a random text from another member saying, hey, would you like to get your own tomorrow? So I was like, okay, I can't really deny this. So I got my own. And long story short, I started chanting, and the first person who passed on the movie ended up financing it. We had a budget all of a sudden that was way bigger than anything we were being proposed to. I was in production within a couple months. We got into Sundance. I met my life partner. All of this stuff happened.
Your life opened up.
My life opened up. But here's where the practice really took off for me. I got all of these things that I thought I wanted and thought I needed to make me happy, and I was miserable, and I couldn't get out of bed in the morning, and people would be like, you must be so excited, the movie's doing so well, and I would say yes, but I didn't really feel it. And it was the first time I had to realize, you know what, like, I have depression, and I've had it my whole life, and I never knew that that's what this was. And I'd see those like commercials and like laugh at the white people who were so sad and they had to take pills, and I didn't realize that like I had this block from even just accepting blessings in my own life.
Right.
And then that's what my chanting practice became about. It became about like, how do I be happy no matter what happens?
Yes, and that's what it is about.
That's really what it's about.
Regardless if you have all the trappings that you need in life or nothing.
But that's the thing. It like for me, chanting, it forced me past that illusion that made me think, oh, I had to get all these things to be happy.
Right.
And I had been holding that my whole life. And now I realize, okay, the happier I am, the better my work is. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
And so, it really completely transformed my life. It's a synthesis of everything I've learned and have studied in my spiritual journey. It just feels right. So that's why I continue to chant.
Human revolution, right?
Yeah, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
What I find really refreshing about Dear White People also, and you don't really see this with regard to shows that are, that have such a huge black cast and the black themed, is the whole story of sexual identity in college. I've never seen that.
Sure.
Like recently we see that in Moonlight, but I've never seen that in a college setting. Did you have a similar experience in college?
Definitely. I mean, Lionel is all of the characters are in some ways surrogates of me, but Lionel especially, because like there was no version of me in the culture. So I didn't know how to be a gay black man.
Right.
No one had that example for me. Like the people in the culture I didn't really relate to. Like I live for RuPaul. That's like one of my favorite people ever. But I wasn't RuPaul.
Right.
Like, and that was really the only one out there who was gay and black.
Right.
And everyone else was in the closet, and there were suspicions, but so-and-so would never come out. So I didn't know how to do it. And that sort of like having to figure it out for myselfness really is what Lionel's about. Like, how do you figure out what you even are or who you are when none of it seems to fit?
Right.
And, especially coming up Catholic, it's a very weird experience
Yes.
to realize that you're not the thing that you're supposed to be. And so it was really important for me to pour that into Lionel because, like I've said before, if I had Lionel when I was 12, 14, whatever, if I had Lionel when I was in college, if I could turn on Netflix and watch that character, this would have been a lot easier.
Right. No, and the way you deliver that episode is amazing, man.
Thank you.
The way you deliver it is amazing. Only character that I don't see, and maybe this is from my own personal experience in college, is, at the time that I went to college, there was a strong inner city recruitment program going on, and I don't see any like kind of like middle class thugs. I don't see any like is that going to happen? Like if there is a seat, like
they're there. You just don't know about them.
That like the cats that. They come from like these working class, or these solid middle class families, but they aspire to sell drugs with the townies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Coco is that, except she took the different route.
Right.
She comes from the inner city. She came from a violent sort of neighborhood, but she sort of really put a lot of energy in covering that up.
Yes.
I'll say this: we don't know everyone's origin story yet, and that's very intentional. And there's characters who you think. Now, that's a funny sidekick to that character. But one day that episode is going to pop on and you're going to go, we're going to go into this person now, So not only do I feel you on that, but yeah, we're going there for sure. Yeah.
Logan, I got to ask. I mean, I haven't, I don't know like I said, I have 2 episodes left. Gabe or Reggie? Because I see the beauty in both relationships.
Right. I do too. I mean, Logan does. I mean, she gets to be 100%, free in herself with Gabe, but there are parts of her that he doesn't understand. And with Reggie, I mean, he is the male version of her, and he's also black and just has this special experience and charm and charisma about him. So, I mean, she's just like dipping her toe in all the ponds.
That was my favorite scene, though. I mean, like I said, I'm not getting into it, but I felt Reggie's pain. And I was like, nah, bro. Nah, don't do it, bro. No, don't do it.
Yeah. And
but the fact that I'm rooting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, Justin.
No, go ahead.
No, but the fact that I'm rooting for a character, I'm like, nah, don't, nah. I kind of type don't like you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you broke homie's heart. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm not going to say anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the fun thing about these guys, and we put a lot of Easter eggs in the show. So when you ever get around to watching it a second time, if you do, there's stuff that you're going to notice that you didn't notice before. Okay. Like the looks that Reggie is giving Sam before you realize how deep it is are, to me, fascinating. Like after you get it. Like he is pining for her all the time. No, he's been,
but I mean, maybe I haven't seen the Easter eggs that you so speak of, but from episode 1, you could tell he's open.
Yeah.
Like from like you could tell, like I'm already thinking they're good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that my name is Reggie. You know what I'm saying? It's like, God damn it. Outside of Sam, who's your favorite character?
Oh, I really love all of the characters for different reasons. I think I really do love watching Lionel. It's a different performance. His whole performance really
is different.
Special. Yeah, he's really special, and Duran is nothing like Lionel.
Right.
So to watch him is really a treat. But honestly, like it sounds so cheesy, every single one of the characters does something really special that I'm drawn to, even down to the freaking guest stars. Like there's the girl when Gabe and Joel are walking around campus and the girl is like, well, I'll let him know what she's really doing when she's at the library, and she does the chapstick. I'm like, that's brilliant.
Who is she? I want to know more.
No, I really think that casting, like Kim Coleman did a great job casting.
Nia, y'all got Nia?
Yeah.
What?
That's right.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
Justin, who's your favorite character?
Yeah, Justin, who's your favorite character?
Well, I think I'm gonna go off cast.
I'm sorry to put you on.
No.
I didn't even think of what I just did right here.
No.
I'm so sorry. You don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
No. Joel.
Okay.
And Kelsey.
Right.
I'm really excited about. Just because, like, they're and Al. Actually, those 3 characters have been in my head and have been in versions of the script for so long, and I'm just like I can't wait to put the storylines out there that I've had in my head for them.
Right.
So I think I'm always gonna have a soft spot for Lionel because that was me in college.
Yes.
And I feel
and to interrupt you, his performances, like you see vulnerability in all of the characters.
Yeah.
But the vulnerability that he exposes is just it's
It's
Duran's a
refreshing.
beast.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all beasts.
Yeah.
The fun thing about Duran is, like she said, like, he's just so wildly different in regular life. It really is shocking
to see him channel
how
this.
easily he slips into
Right.
that role.
Right.
It's really remarkable.
Are you paying homage to Spike Lee's School Days?
I have to, because here's the thing:
I like that.
he invented the subgenre that I'm operating in, and I'm standing on his shoulders in this respect. I'm not saying whatever. I'm just saying that like I would have never thought that I could make things like this with an artful take about Black lives if it wasn't for his work. So yeah, I had to, not only I felt a responsibility to pay homage to him.
That's dope.
I did.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick.
That's my
Huge,
hero.
huge
That's my
influence on
hero.
you, right?
Yeah, that's my hero.
So you've been living with this property for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything? What's your favorite genre? Is there what's the next move for you? What's your favorite genre of movie?
My favorite genre is actually musicals.
Really?
Musicals and
Oh.
sfi are my favorite
Okay.
genres. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are we going to see some musicals?
I'm
Are
working on
musicals sci-fi?
I'm working on
What?
it. No, I'm working on it for real. I'm working on it. There's a few musical projects that are in the works that hopefully will happen.
That's dope. That's
Yeah.
dope. And Miss Logan?
I mean, I like both of those genres. I kind of want to piggyback off of his, just because they're happy and feel good and special, and it's kind of like nerd culture.
Right.
I love that cult following and nerd culture. So I'll just piggyback off of Justin. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna copy you.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'll tell you, just to put myself in the conversation, this has been my best year, my favorite year, because
Awesome.
my favorite genre is horror.
Oh,
And for the past
man.
5 years, I've been on Twitter like, if
Oh.
Hollywood ever minds a black person's perspective or people of color
So
into
good.
horror,
Yeah.
it's gonna be the next level. And then
Well-
I was like, it was like
I will tell you this.
Jordan Peele really, like it was personal to me, and we had him on the show recently,
was-
and it was amazing.
I was beside myself in that movie. I was so I was like, they let him do this,
Yes.
and he did it so well, and
Yes.
it was so successful. I like.
Uncompromisingly black,
Oh
but
my
but
God.
satisfying to every demo that watched that movie.
I'll tell you this. I've been working on a horror movie for the past 5 years.
Come on, you got to bring it, dude.
Listen.
Come on,
thanks to Jordan, I might have a shot.
Can you put no offense against the whole sci-fi musical thing, but can you just bring that horror, please? Bring
script-
that horror,
listen.
B.
The script is done.
Yo.
Hopefully, we can make it happen.
Yo. Last
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
I ask all my guests this. Top 5 MCs.
See, this is gonna make me not feel black enough.
Yeah.
Not gonna make me feel black enough.
Yeah.
All right.
We could do this together.
Slick Rick.
No, you say separate.
No, separate, please.
Slick is good.
Slick Rick.
Good. In no particular order.
Okay. Yeah. No, there isn't one. Cool Mo D.
What?
Jay.
What?
Z. Nas.
What?
And I'm gonna go with Tupac.
That's a good list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we never criticize anybody's list. Never, there's never been a bad
But that's
list.
a good blend from errors. you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
There's never been anybody that's been like tortured or crucified because so. Mr. Logan.
He prefaces
I
it.
just want you to feel comfortable. This is. Don't you guys feel free on here? Like, don't you
I
feel?
mean, I feel kind of
Macklemore.
awkward. I mean, no, shut up.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, wait. So, like the definition of an MC is what?
I mean, listen. Whatever your definition is, somebody told me recently that one of their top 5s was Big Bank Hank from the Sugar Hill Gang.
Wow.
From Rapper's Delight.
Wow.
Okay.
Which was the original, to
Right,
me, sucker
right.
MC who bit somebody's rhymes. But
Right.
but for Sugar Hill Gang, we would not have hip hop as an industry
Sure.
that we all enjoy today. So,
Yeah.
like I said, once again, no judgments.
All right. Well, I'll get Jay out the way. He's on the list.
Yes.
And I don't want to take your list, but Tupac has to be on my list.
Okay.
Is it bad that Eminem's on my list?
No, what?
No.
I
Eminem's
love
great.
Eminem so
What?
much.
Like Eminem, listen. I don't
great.
think Eminem has put out hits in a very long time, but
Yeah.
Eminem at the top of his game.
Yeah.
Run.
I
First
love
two
his
albums.
characters.
Run.
Like
Run.
I was a big fan.
And Eminem's still deadly.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right.
M Pac.
This kind of, maybe this is a little cheesy, but like LL, I just really like his vibe. Is
LL
that bad?
He's a goat.
Okay.
LL is
Okay.
LL is the
Okay.
goal.
Okay.
The original Drake. It's fine.
The original many things. The original everything. That's a good addition to the list.
And then
Pac, LLM.
I'm trying to pick I have a favorite female. I'm trying to pick though. Let's see. I mean, I guess I don't want to say Missy is my favorite, but like, because I feel like
she's
there's
6 for me.
Yeah, I feel like really.
Yeah.
I feel like who are some other good female?
I mean, to me, it's a toss between Latifah and Lauren.
Latifah,
Yeah.
Lauren, done. That's a wrap.
Lauren, she's real.
Yay!
Listen,
I did it, guys. Am I black enough?
You're so black right now, black power, but
You both said Pac. Are you guys excited for the Tupac movie?
I'm always cautiously optimistic about biopics.
Same.
cautiously.
I wanted to play
Cautiously
Jada.
optimistic. Did you?
I auditioned, didn't get it.
I could see you as Jada.
For
Wanted
sure.
What?
Cat got it though. People always say me and Cat look alike,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that works.
What? Well, when they do the Will.
Yeah.
Will and Jada, you'll
You'll get a
Who's
shot
gonna
to play
Who's
James
gonna
at
play
some
Will?
point.
I don't know.
Right. We'll meet him
Michael
later.
B. I don't know.
Listen, guys, it's been great having
Thank
you
you
guys
for having
on
us.
the show, man. Continued success.
Thank you.
If there is, I look forward to a season 2.
Me too.
I can't wait to go back home and finish binging
Yeah.
on the rest of the episode of season 1 of Dear White People. I have not seen the movie yet,
Cool.
so I have to go back and see the movie.
Check it out.
But continued success, and thank you so much.
Same
Thank
to
you
you.
for
Thank you
having
so
us.
much for what y'all are
Really
doing.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you, King.
Yeah. Yo, listen, man. Much success. I'm gonna make sure.
To pay your bill.
No.
Pay
I'm
that
gonna make
bill,
sure I'm
man.
gonna watch
Pay
it.
that Visa. Put that Visa down, man.
I don't have a visa.
Stop playing, man.
I'll give you my
I got a
password. You can just-
Nah, man. Much more success, man. This was. I can't wait to drop this episode, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Internets. You know what it is. Dream those dreams.
Dreams.
And then man up, woman up, and live those dreams. Because a life without dreams is black and white. And the universe flows in technicolor and surround sound.
Hey.
Through. Awesome.
Hey, yo, internets, do not forget this week's episode of the Combat Jack Show is brought to you by the new Spotify original podcast, Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty, hosted by me, Reggie Osei, Combat Jack. Mogul details one of the most illustrious careers in hip-hop and Chris Lighty's rise to the pinnacle of musical success before a tragic and untimely end. His story is bigger than just music. It's broader than that. It's bigger than hip-hop. It's a story of the American dream told with dope beats over dope rhymes. Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty is a Spotify original podcast produced by Gimlet Media and the Loudspeakers Network. Follow and listen to Mogul, The Life and Death of Chris Lighty, every week only on Spotify. Motherfuckers, download the app. It doesn't hurt you nothing, man. It's not like no app that puts the feds into like no, we not on that fed shit. Just download the app and listen to the show. It's the best shit we ever gave y'all.
This episode of the Combat Jack Show is produced by Jonathan Mena, executive produced by A. King, and this is an official Loudspeakers Network production.